landscape of work and leadership in the COVID-19 time. I will present the agenda and I will take something like half an hour to go over it, and then hopefully you're going to have something to ask, and so we can clarify some things. So today we're going to go through a short introduction, and then we will talk about the future of work and the changes that it presents and the challenges that it presents for us in the present. We're going to talk about leadership and self-leadership and why it's so important these days, and the connection between leadership and self-leadership. And we're going to talk a little bit in practical terms about business owners and self-employed entrepreneurs, what they need to change to adapt to the new reality. So yeah, I'm traveling around the world and talk, but my most of career was in between education and business. I started my first business when I was 22, and I got so much luck. After 2 years, 85 people work for this company. And then I created or established the alternative school, high school, and I became like a young principal. And then I went to some other CEO roles, and I worked in university. I taught in university, and I did many things in between education and business. I can tell you that in the last 15 years, I had the privilege to work with entrepreneurs, hundreds of entrepreneurs, including in the alternative business school that I established in Vancouver, with business leaders, CEOs and executives, and with government officials. I worked very closely with 5 mayors and 2 ministers and some policymakers, and I had the privilege to take part in a very interesting things. But let's go just into it. Just to be honest with you all, it's all started when I've been kicked out from high school in the early stage, and my journey wasn't a classic one, to say the least. So we live, as you all know, or try to deny, in the midst of a global crisis, and every time that humans live in the midst of a crisis, the main question that we need to ask ourselves, because it's the most important question, is how we can stay relevant. So that's take the judgmental out of us, it's take the victim out of us, and it puts us in a proactive place when we ask ourselves how we can stay relevant when everything changing around us. The future of work, when we're referring to future of work, we usually talk about the adaptation of AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the expansion of the gig economy. They both connected. I don't want to go deep in theory. So if I want to simplify that, I would say that the future of work, in one sentence, is when your skill become commodity, when skill commoditize. And we hear about it all the time, and everybody start to think about the car that's going to drive itself and what we're going to do with all the drivers. But when you look at the research, they're expecting, most of the research data expected loss of 75 million jobs in the coming years. So we're talking about family doctors and bankers and therapists and many, many things that you cannot even think about human not doing that. But basically, once the AI become efficient enough and human trust it, it become commodity. So I always love to give this example about tourism. When I came to Vancouver 9 years ago, I lived at UBC, and every other block had a tourism agency. And it was really qualified people working there. They all knew, computer skills and connections, and obviously more than one language. And what happened in less than a decade, we had this logarithm that started to figure out cheap flights and hotels and connect rental cars. And slowly, all of us start to trust that. And once we trust the artificial intelligence there, this full field of activity that we call tourism agency just vanished. We always have 5-6% of all of this field of occupation stayed. They're going to help executives to manage their flight or big companies, but us, the people who, you know, book our business travel in the days that we still done that, when we book a business travel or personal vacation, once we trust the AI, the best skills of the travel agency customer service just become a commodity. And that's going to happen in a very intense way, more and more in the coming years. So we're going to see more and more industries just disappearing, and other will replace them. So I have to say that other millions of jobs, new ones will come to the world, and we will adapt. We will need to adapt to them. The most interesting thing that happened today, happening in education, because once you realize that we don't have an idea which kind of job going to be here in 8 years, more than 80% of the jobs is unknown to us. We need to ask ourselves what we educating people for. Like we trained them for yesterday in many ways. The people who train them don't know what the near future going to look like in the job market. So the main thing that happened in this process, little thing to think about it, and individuals need to think about it. The main thing that's happening, it's that individual, in the current culture, I would say it like that, rephrase it. In the current culture that we have, with the education system that we currently have, we identify with our skills. And basically, when we ask someone, who are you? You're going to answer with this job title. And that presents a risk for the birth of our identity, because once we identify with the skill and our skill become commodity, lots of people will feel left behind. And when people feel left behind, it's very charged. We can see that all around the political scene. We can see the risk for liberal democracy. We can see populism going up. We can see a lot of trends with lots of emotion and charged happening around us in a very intense way. And not all of that, obviously, but some of that connected to this unknown and to the risk that present for individuals and community and to our basic identity. So what we can do about it? First, we need to identify that the main skill that human will need in the very near future is the ability to reinvent themselves. Sometimes I joke about it and I say it's not about the skill, it's about the will. So let's take a kid, for example, that went to the best university now and he's learning computer science. So most likely in 5 or 6 years, we're going to have artificial intelligence that do the coding that he will do better than him. So he or she will need to ask themselves, what next? Because the coding that I know to do now, it's taken by some logarithm. So I have to ask myself what I do next. So for young people, reinventing themselves in the workplace will become the main will and skill that they will need. And for adults, some of us are adults, or at least pretend to be, it's getting to us. It's getting very close to us too. We're not going to do it every 3 or 4 years, but we will do it a few times. And then you need to ask yourself, what is the main skills that the future needs? So we have 2 families of skills that all the research agree on. One is technological skills, and the tricky thing with that they will change all the time. So basically, I should say the first family is technological skills that we will need to relearn and adapt. The second skills that we used to call them soft skills, now we have a fancier name, we call them social emotional skills, will become the most important skills that humans have. because these skills that include adaptivity, flexibility, proactivity, communication, and entrepreneurial mindset, all of that, what we used to call soft skill, will become the most interesting place in our soul, because they will help us to guide ourselves in the future. And sometimes I think in the present of work. And we like to call all of this bunch of soft skills or social emotional skills, we like to bundle them in what we call self-leadership, because self-leadership will become the most important thing once you need to reinvent yourself more than once. The COVID-19 crisis that we're still in the midst of that is basically acceleration of this future. So I came back in March 4th from Athens in Amsterdam to Vancouver, and I went to a big event. And it took me like a while to understand that I, might present risk to others. So we all experienced in the last few months unknown. We all experienced the need to make a decision in the dark. We all made decisions, personal decisions, family decisions, work decisions, in a severe state of unknown. And that is going to be familiar feeling for us in the future, because the unknown going to increase, and we will need to adapt and to learn how to function in that. And when I say adaptation, usually people think that adaptation is external, and they're right. You need to adapt yourself to the different things that are happening outside in the world. But parallel to adaptation, we have change. It's proactive thing that you need to control. If not, you just want to adapt to the needs, and you're going to lose yourself. So it's two forces or muscles working together. And we saw positive acceleration and negative acceleration in the COVID-19. We saw universities that are talking 15 years about moving online, forced to do it in 2 or 3 weeks. And we saw what human capable on when we present with a challenge. I want to focus now on leaders, and to say that we believe that purpose and self-leadership are the main tool to become and will become the navigation tools to help humans, individuals, leaders, entrepreneurs, and government officials to navigate in this new reality. And we call it purpose because you cannot achieve clarity from the outside. You have to achieve clarity from the inside to expand the clarity that you have outside of you. And we all know that in many ways. Most of us, if what you do is business, regardless what business you do, you have many times the feelings that you're so close to breakthrough, and you have the clarity for a glitch. And then you see that, and you feel that it's just, you almost touching that. And after a while, you're losing your strategy, you're losing your clarity, your communication become awkward. People around you don't really understand you, or you just become really attached to measurables that not relevant sometimes. And you always feel that you're next to the point. It's like something in you working against you. And basically, as human, we all know we have 10% of conscious mind. This is our logic mind, our measurable mind that try to take us forward. But unfortunately, or fortunately, we have 90% subconscious mind and unconscious mind. That most of the time, if we not have these alignments working against us and making us to self-sabotage ourselves, and basically they dare to protect us. They not always know how to do that. So what we developed to deal with that and to a personal process, to create the leader inside of the people, and to make sure that people can gain this clarity, we develop when you look at that in perspective, it took 25 years, but we actually put it under, one umbrella in the last 2 years, and we call it the Pedagogy of Purpose. So your self-leadership compass. And the stages is always, it's not like a ladder. You can go with them parallel, but it is a stages. The first one, sorry, is uncover your purpose. And when I say purpose, I mean your values, the thing that you stand for, and your belief system. We as human, we don't always have the awareness to that, have a very strong belief system and value-based, each one of us. And these values and belief system driving the decision that we make every day. They define how we do stuff and when we do stuff. The problem is that we not have awareness to that. So most of you, I hope, will emphasize with that something happened, you react to that. And then 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, sometimes 3 years after, you understand yourself. You understand why you react in that way. Because we have an inner compass that guide us. We have our values and belief systems. But most of the time, we have very little awareness to them. So basically, when we're reacting to something, we understand ourselves later. We don't proactively think, align ourselves, and then react. We're reacting from a system that we don't see. So uncovering that system, uncovering this belief system, uncovering the core values. And when I say purpose, I mean, we're looking for the authentic you, who you are for real. So you have the awareness, to re-navigate yourself, to fix some stuff if you need to do it, and to be aligned with what you want to achieve and your subconscious. And that is a very interesting stuff, because this stuff is internal, it's not external. And it's like almost what you see as a leader is a geographic field. But if you want to navigate the storm, you need to understand geology so you can take your next step. And the geology part is stuff that never been taught in a profound way. We don't have a lot of theories and models that work with the geology work that you need to do to better navigate the geographic in the stormy weather around you. The second stage, it's about self-expression. We as human losing lots of energy. And we have today in the job market so much degrees of burnout, people squeezing out obviously from the markets, and burnout is a huge component that we're living in, and we start to understand that the future of work going to have to deal with mental health and other stuff. And when you don't have this clarity, it's very hard. Most people don't have the capacity to give themselves the permission to show up authentically. And if you don't feel that your authentic self is good enough, you're going to put a show, you're going to make a fuss, and you're going to be a different person in your house, and a different in your workplace, and a different with your friend. And all of this show that you put is stealing your energy. And it's taking the alignments that you need to function and to have the results that you want. So basically, the second stage is about understanding yourself and give yourself the permission to express yourself as you are, because you're good enough to do it. You're doing that. You just need to do it better. And for that, you need your whole self, not just a piece of yourself. So when you achieve that, you gain so much energy, because you don't need to put a show, and you can go to the flow. It's happened, we're talking about flow or the zone when we're talking about artists. But no, it can serve good people, and it can serve everyone. It can serve leaders once you tune to your own self, and you give yourself permission and your intuition permission to play outside of you. The third one is add value to others. And this is this is the most interesting one sometimes, I think, because this, as creatures, as human creatures, the core of our happiness is happening when we're adding value to others. And every business done that. If you have a business that survives, you adding value to others. Understand what is that. Most of us that parenting, doing this insane work, because in some point of time it gives us happiness, or whatever you do for others. So using your talent and your uniqueness, leveraging that to add value to others is the core joy that you can have in life. And you need to tune to that. And thinking about business or community or relationship in the prism or with the perception of how I can add value to you. Am I doing a good job now adding value to you? This is the relevant question. This is how I can stay relevant. So how I can make sure that after this talk, you know at least one thing that you didn't know before, or you achieve some clarity from what I'm doing here. So I'm doing my best to be relevant to you, so you can, so I can add value to you in many ways. When you achieve that, it's really easier to prioritize. Lots of leaders having really hard time with priority. But priority, what you value most, like your family, your private time, the main thing that you need to do is your business. This is where leaders and entrepreneurs have big lack of clarity. And when you achieve this clarity inside, the reality outside becomes so easy to navigate. It's never very easy. I would say simple. So it's simple, but not easy. This is the phrase that I'm looking for. It's become simple to navigate. It's never easy. Life is nobody promised anyone easy life. We can make it simple. And the first stage is execute value exchange. Is basically when you start to manage your self-growth, and when you know your value, and now you give value to others, and you focus about providing this value as a business owner or as an entrepreneur or as a community leader, and now you need to do this value exchange, but in a fair way, not in a demanding way, not in a manipulative way. You know the value that you provide, and now you know the value that you deserve. And basically, you learn how to keep yourself accountable, and you become your self-leader with the full expression of that. And when we say, again, purpose-led leaders, making big difference in the world today, it's tons of research around that. And again, when I say purpose, I don't mean a phrase. I mean the authentic you have a permission to function outside, to communicate that clearly, have a clear vision that you can share with your colleagues, with your peers, with your management, with everyone around you, with your customers, with your investors, and they all experience you crystal clear. This is working from purpose. And the second thing, that you actually feel, and people around you feel, that they're taking part in something bigger than them. And in the end of the day, they feel that they add value to other people. They impact positively people around them. You cannot understand how meaningful that is for employees. So Better Up Labs just released it, I think, a year or 2 years ago. And the data there is incredible. It's like 10 of 9 workers in average will sacrifice so much. I think it's up to 23% of their salary. And they will exchange it for a meaningful work. And I know some of you are thinking, really? Like, people really want to have the money in the end of the month? Yes, we all have to get the money in the end of the month, but we have 8-9 hours a day that we're spending at work. And if we don't feel that this is meaningful, we're not effective. People are effective. They produce more, they work more, they stay in the company longer. It's all very clear data. If they have the sense of purpose, if they feel that they creating something that impact positively the people around. And I can tell you the truth, a lot of time that we come to a business and you see that they're actually doing that. They're creating a positive impact all around them, but they're not communicating that, or they don't have the awareness for that. And once you communicate that, and the people that work with you and for you and around you have the clarity of the positive impact they're making in the world, the motivation change. It's clear data now. And if you want another data, this is from Harvard Business Review, I think that was a year ago. It's actually, if people feel that they have a sense of purpose and they're adding value to others, they actually live longer. It's a very tricky research, to be honest with you, because what it demands that you have the perception that you have a meaningful life and you add value to others. It's enough. It's not half actually need to happen, but it's enough to have that sense to live more than 2 years longer. And it's proven that you have less, you expose yourself to less disease. People that motivate themselves with sense of purpose, healthier and live longer. This is amazing to understand and to see how we can leverage that for effectiveness at the workplace and in our life is just incredible. So maybe in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to explain the tool that we create. The Compass tool, I'm going to briefly go through that. We're working with people on this process for a month. It's a very intensive month, and parallel to work. When we work with, we're doing workshops that are very personal and lots of homework in between. And what we want to achieve is this personal compass that's serving your self-leader in the world. So it starts with the questions about where you came from, so the story that you're telling to yourself. And it's helpful to understand your patterns, the events that create you, and then to think about yourself as a storyteller, and to ask yourself which kind of stories serving you and which one not serving you anymore. Lots of us see the stuff that hard and rushed in our life, and after we going through the stories again and again and again, they become part of us, they become who we are, and we become a victim of our life circumstances. And the whole goal of this process is to shift from a victim to the creator of your life. You have the opportunity to create your own life. It's just a state of mind that needs to change there. So the value, I spoke about it before, the value is what you stand for, the belief system, it's there. You don't need to invent that. Everybody have that. You need to uncover that. You need to have awareness to that, so the 10% that lead you in the logic mind have the support and the alignments of the rest of your energy, and they're not going to different directions. The left corner is the talent. It's like, what is your skill set? Where is your strengths? In the right corner is the inspiration. So basically, what gives you energy? What, when you do, you lose sense of time, where that two component have a very interesting dance, because lots of time we've been educated to do what we're good with our talent, with our strengths, and we've never been taught to consider what gives us energy. When you get to this intersection between your talent and your energy, you start to get close to your true north. And your true north, it's basically answering two questions, is what is my focus, like what I actually want to achieve and through what, and second, who I want to serve and why it's meaningful to me. Once you go to this, you get to this intersection, it's very, very clear. It's all compassed, working, because purpose there in the middle, because it's fluid and it's moving around. Purpose is not a statement. It's something that happened to you and it's ever changing with your awareness. So this tool become a tool that you achieve clarity with, and the working that you do inside you showing up outside very, very fast. And we will need that, because reinventing ourselves and reinventing our businesses and stay relevant in different storms, we need tools to help us navigate that basically. Maybe I will mention one more thing. This compass exists in you. Your business have a compass. Your customer looking at your compass. Your employees or the people who work with you have a compass. And the trick as a business owner is to align all of these different compasses to one. Is basically making sure that everybody around you see where is the north, how are we going to get there, who are we going to impact, how are we going to add value to them, how are we going to do the value exchange. And we're not just going to do a good business. We're going to make a positive difference in the world. And that, communicating that, understanding your mission from that level will make your business better, will make you feel better, maybe live longer, and it's make everybody around you happier and more engaged when they come into work. So that was a fast 31 minutes. And I appreciate your attention and, and motivation to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilad. You know, you spoke about adding value and adding something that we didn't know before. I don't know where to start because this is totally new to me, and there is very, very nice and very, very, I would say, original point of view on things that we are doing on a regular basis, and I have never thought about it in this way. So thank you very much for that. I see that we have some questions. Just a minute, let me see. People are thinking, and if somebody has any question, please raise your hand, or I can open the microphone or put it in the comment, and Gilad is here to address any question. Hi, Dina. Just a minute, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Gilad, for a really fascinating presentation. My question to you is, where does emotional intelligence fall into when we know that we are heading into a world that would have less and less human interaction? You mentioned AI. How would we value emotional intelligence in the new world? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's lovely. It's a great question. I think it's obviously part of the social emotional skills. And it's obviously will become a huge skill in demand in the future, because we will need to navigate collaborations between people, and we will need to navigate collaboration between people and machines. We will need to coordinate really interesting teams that will include humans and logarithm and machine that going to learn all the time. And the combination of leading that, or even the combination of understanding what it's take to move forward when you have all of this diversity inside the human being. And you add to that all of these diverse logarithm and machine learning and all of that coming together, social emotional skills or what you call EQ will become essential skills. So a lot of skills that we think they are nice to have will become essential. Lots of skills that we think they are the strong skill, the hard skill, the one that we need, will lose meaning with time. So the ability to navigate yourself will demand much more emotional intelligence, much more flexibility, adaptability, entrepreneurial mindset, creativity, communication. That bunch of skills will help you to reinvent yourself, because in the world that going to be in constant change, and we just experience like a big chunk of unknown that every leader going to experience in the near future, because it part of the thing. It's not good or bad. It's just what it is. So these tools and navigation tools that keep you confident on your feet and help you to create clarity for yourself and others become essential skills. And if you look, just for example, in the Canadian federal government essential skills list, you would see that in the last few months, they add these soft skills to this list, five from 9. It used to be in the Canadian government document, reading, writing, numeracy, and that was the main essential skills. It's still essential, but you have to add to that computer skills, you have to add to that technological skill, and then bunch of soft skills that we call them self-leadership, you can call them emotional intelligence, you can have different names for them. They become the majority of what it will become to be, or maybe already is, essential skills. I hope I answer your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Gilad, there is another question here about, and probably you, just a minute, let me open this one. You probably give courses, in-depth courses about those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is some interest here, and of course, if somebody is interested, you can send us an email, you can send an email to Gilad, and on that note, I will tell everybody that is on the call that we are going to put this recording of this seminar online. So if you wish to watch it again, or you know somebody that may be interested, send us an email. We'll send you the link to the seminar. Other than that, many thanks. Gilad, thank you very much for everything. It was fascinating. It was very, very interesting. And I thank you very much for the seminar and for your time.
Honestly, my pleasure. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day and the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.